Alrighty, ladies, I have the most exciting guest. I'm truly excited for this topic because we're going to get into the minds of the men when we are going through this situation and how do we navigate and interpret what they're going through when they are cheating in an affair. So today I welcome you with Fiona. Welcome.
Hello, how is everyone? I hope you're all doing well.
Yes. And Fiona is an incredible coach and deals with some in like quite deep situations that people find themselves in and can really help people turn their life around when sometimes it feels like you can't turn it around. So Fiona, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
All right, it's very eclectic. I've done many things in my life, but everything serves me now in the coaching that I do. So currently I'm an empowerment coach and a self-defense coach. I've been training in martial arts for 35 years, have 5 different martial arts, 2 black belts, traveled the world competing in full contact competition fighting. I also work as a coach alongside psychiatrists and psychologists with helping people work through trauma, domestic violence. So I work a lot in the field of violence, or disempowerment. So I often find that people face disempowerment, which actually creates immense amount of trauma. So if I deal with the empowerment issue, then usually the story of the trauma can shift or change or actually learn to empower you. So we can have some of the most adverse situations and learn to find a sense of strength, power, intention, passion about how we want to live our life. So I work with, relationships, as I said, domestic violence as well, not just domestic violence, but also, how to change people's sequences so that they can actually figure out why they do what they do. And if they change the sequence, how they can change what they do, and then have an emotion and an intention behind it to figure out where are we actually going.
Yes.
So that sort of is a lot in a nutshell, and I work over many different fields. And sometimes I work in fields where I work with people with disabilities who have very low cognitive thinking, but a lot of things are happening for them. So I teach people how to train and teach them how to change their sequences without them even knowing about it. So it's
Incredible.
it's just exciting. It really is. So
I know, and the transformations you create in people's lives and help create is absolutely incredible. And I think that's why it's so fueling to do this kind of work. And why I'm so excited is, like you said, you've done a lot with domestic violence and in situations with affairs as well. A lot of women feel trapped and they don't know why they can't create the change that they so badly want to create. Maybe they don't even know what the change is that they're specifically seeking yet. And that's also a lot of the encounters that you happen to come across in domestic violence type situations as well. So I think there's a bit of cross-pollination going on that we can pick on your wisdom, and it will really impact the women on this show. So we're going to get into some questions around the minds of why men do, well, men and women, but this podcast is for women that are in affairs. So why men are doing what they're doing in this situation and what's behind it. And then I have some questions around also our narrative towards the affair story that we are writing in our head and how it is changing the way that we approach the situation. So I've got a whole list of questions and I'm excited to ask them. One of the first questions I want to ask, and women ask a lot, is that they're confused on why for the women that want to be with the man in the long term and are hoping that he will leave his wife for her, and he constantly is promising that it's going to happen, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere, and there's nothing happening. He's not looking like he's taking any action towards him actually changing his current relationship so that he can be fully into this relationship with the woman that's in an affair. Or for the women who feel like they were holding on to hope for so long and he never did leave. So why would a man promise that he is going to leave his current partner for the person he is cheating with and never really follow through with it?
So, I mean, this is about having massive guesses into what's going on. And sometimes you've got to look at the structure of the character of a man, or the structure or the character of a woman, and what they're aiming to achieve. So I gather both of them is about connection. It's probably about passion. It's probably about knowing that I'm wanted. But the one thing for a guy, if he's in one situation or one relationship and then in another relationship, then for a guy, why would he give that up? Right? He wins at home and he wins in the affair, and no one's willing to draw a line. So, hey, why would I give up something where I get to control the shots? Because for a guy, one of the main things about men is understanding masculine energy. And masculine energy is knowing that they can win. So if they can win and they can score and they can, control a situation so that they can have the best outcome, why not do it? But what it does is it doesn't always lead to certainty or a sense of love and trust, because there's always this underlying paradigm, if you like to call it, of never truly committing, because a man won't commit unless he knows that the investment is going to pay off. And it's very sometimes it's very black and white, very clinical, but for a guy, and especially in masculine energy, it's about scoring the win. All right, you watch guys, how passionate they become when they play football or they score a point. So
So I just have a question on that. In
yeah.
regards to the feminist movement, a lot of women would be like, this is toxic behavior. How can we see this in a proactive way and learn how to as women, see that and bring out the best in that and not the worst?
Yeah, so if we understand how a guy works, so for example, I look at it is, if we look at it as like a caveman mentality, all right, this is instinctual stuff that's been handed down from generation to generation. And it's not saying that it's right, it's not saying that it's wrong, but it's instinct. You know how, like if I walk through my house and I see some clothes on the floor, my thing is I'll pick that up, I'll put it away, because it puts everything in order, and I need the certainty to know that if I've got children, everything is safe. For a guy, if he's in a caveman mentality, it's about, okay, I've got to go for the win. I've got to go for the kill. If I don't go for the kill, then I won't actually be able to provide for my family. And providing is a huge thing for a guy. And if he knows that that's what he's after, he will walk over the socks, because there's no energy in picking up socks. He's after the end goal. Yeah. And that's why sports is such an appealing thing for guys, because it really does drive that I'll be the protector, I'll be the provider, I'll do anything for you. When they're truly invested and that they know that that's appreciated by a woman, then they'll actually really, invest their time, but they won't waste time. So if what's socks to a guy? Now, if you really think about it, what's socks to a guy? That's not going to bring the money home.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that women can bring the money home as well. What I'm looking at here is to know how we innately tick.
Yes.
You know how when a baby is born, the first thing it wants to do is feed. All right. Yes. And it is looking, right? It's that instinctual thing, and it's recognizing that there is power in both. Because sometimes we say that, like if a man is the provider, then what's the woman? No, women have masculine energy too. And it's really recognizing, how do I get my innate nature to work with my current life so that I actually be everything I can be in these moments? So for a guy, if he knows that he's providing for his family and he's looking after his children and they're safe and they're protected, then why would he ditch that relationship to go after another part that he really drives forward too, which is, knowing that he's wanted, knowing that he's appreciated. Because sometimes in families, what can happen is a wife might, have a huge amount of focus on the children because she knows she's responsible for that. And then I'm even challenging myself, because I will challenge myself with what I say.
Yes. Yeah.
That's not to say the woman has to be the person who looks after the children. Men have feminine energy as well. They look after children too. But what it is actually realizing that if I'm going to protect the family, then I won't want to let this go. But if I'm getting appreciated here, I'm going to get, I can go here. So I get a little bit from one, and I get a little bit.
Needs.
Yeah, I can get a little bit from one and a little bit from other. And if I lose one, will I lose that part of what really drives me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it right in the context of trust? Probably not, but that's not the drivers that they're looking for.
Yeah.
Whereas a woman, if she wants a man to leave his wife for her, it's the innate nature that I want to be desired,
And safe.
that I want to be safe, that if I have the right environment, I can flow and be everything. Because for me, I know that once protection is looked after, and I've looked after, my husband, I've been married for 30, oh gosh, I have to think, 33 years now. No, 31 years, nearly into 32. I've known him for 33. Amazing man. I know that, that I have a role, and being a martial artist, I'm a protector. Right? I'll let most things flow, but if you cross the line, I know how to take you out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's you.
but because I have that, it allows me to flow in my energy. And when my environment is taken care of, and if it's taken care of by another person, that's not to say I need the other person, but when it's been taken care of by another person, I can then just flow with my feminine energy, get really connected to, using my creativity, intuition, doing what I like, feeling, like for me, love is huge for me. Kindness, thoughtfulness, and I am kind and thoughtful and caring. All right. And I'll allow you to have your freedom. Right. I'm going to change what I just said. Is I give people the opportunity to create freedom in their life by me looking at allowing it to flow. All right. Because I don't allow people to do anything. I just create an environment. See, I'm because I want
exactly listen to those words. Create the environment.
Yeah, because I want people to realize that I'm not into controlling anything. I'm into being me and playing that full tilt.
Yes.
So in this relationship between, as I said, the man not leaving in the affair, it's a foot in both camps. He won't commit to. Probably won't commit to either. And while he has that option, he's probably not going to take it, and especially if he starts to procrastinate.
Okay, so as women, what can we do, or what are we not doing to allow the boundary up of a clear boundary up for what we're willing and not willing to take moving forward in the relationship? Because obviously, as you said, you create that foundation of what you're willing to allow in. So how can the women here, if he is not willing to, if he is saying he is and it's never happening, how can they change their approach to create a better result?
Yeah. So it's figuring out where you want to go. As a woman, what do you want in your life? Is your relationship as a woman, are you wanting the man to fill you up, or are you coming to the relationship full? All right. And if you're waiting for somebody else to fill you up, most likely the universe is going to give you the lessons of patience, right? Because no one gets to fill you up and make you feel fulfilled. Because like for you, Kate, I don't know what fills you up. I'm having a massive guess. the only way I can fulfilled is if I take ownership over them. So I've really got to look at, what do I want? What am I prepared to play with? Right? But then what is my, all right, no, this is the boundary.
Yes.
And it's really important to know what I'm going to say yes to and what I'm going to say no to. But if I'm always willing to push the boundary, or let the boundary slide, let the boundary slide, let the boundary slide, then I've got no parameters of where to walk. I will just start to walk in the wilderness.
Yeah.
How do you know how to find the track?
Yeah.
All right. And that's where people start to feel lost and don't know what to do. And then it's like, and then what you're doing is you're setting off your adrenaline system, all of those sorts of things. And then often what happens, you feel really disempowered because you don't have any control over anything.
Yes, exactly.
So what it is saying, well, what can I have control of and what do they have control of? But I've got to sit down and figure out, what is my relationship?
Yes.
What do I want out of my relationship? How do I fill myself up in a relationship? How do I know that I am enough in this world so I can stand on my own, but have a person who walks beside me and gets to honor and cherish and witness what I do and will champion me?
Yes.
All right. But it doesn't mean that I'm not a champion. But it means that they get to witness it and I get to share it, because when you have an opportunity to speak your truth becomes like more exciting.
Yes.
Because otherwise you have all these things going on in your head and I'm going this way and this way and this way. What it is when you speak, you bring into existence what you want. And you can, and like you've heard me say already in this podcast, is I actually say something, and if it's not exactly the person that I know I am, I will change it, because I've been taught my language. I got taught by my mom, I got taught by my dad, I got taught by my teachers, and people told me how I should be rather than actually figuring out who I am. Because I have a belief system, and this may be different to a lot of people, that we're actually put on the earth for a meaning, for a purpose, for a mission, for an intention to do something powerful, right? It is a powerful existence of when I'm put on the earth. So what I do now is now I look at, how do I live my passion, my intention, my power, rather than somebody else telling me what I am. Because they don't understand me. They don't understand all the intrinsic things that are going on in my head. So once I know who I am, then other people become the icing on the cake.
Yes.
But the
totally.
cake is still sweet.
Yes.
And what it does, it livens the existence of the cake, and it accentuates the taste of the cake. But it doesn't make the cake.
Yes, absolutely.
So what it is so if I'm going to deal with this, I have to figure out these things on my own.
Yeah.
And then I ask the person that I want to have in my life, this is what I want to have. This is what fills me up. This is what where I want to go. And I'm saying to them is, will you come along on my journey? Because together I know we can do some amazing things, and we can love each other and all of that sort of thing. And what it is now is, I'm not asking him to do something, I'm inviting him to come and join me.
Yes.
Different power dynamic.
Yes. Yes.
All right. One, I own the power. The other one, I give away the power.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So that's a really important thing. Now, if he's not willing to, right, appreciate the gift, because I believe that I am a gift. I've been gifted to be on this earth. So if I appreciate the gift, I give the gift, and the power is in the giving of the gift. Now they get to appreciate it, they get to accept it, they get to play with it, or they get to reject it. And what I'm doing is I'm asking them, will you do it? And then I have probably a criteria of saying, okay, this is what I want.
Yeah.
is that possible? And ask them, is that possible? And if they listen for the answer, when you ask that question, listen to what they say. Do they actually answer the question that you ask?
Mm.
Or do they start to fluff around and really not answer it? Or do they start to accuse you and saying, hang on a second, you don't understand what my position, where I am. And see, what they're doing is they're now avoiding the question.
The question, yeah.
Right. And so therefore they're never really answering it because they don't want to commit to it.
Yes.
And if they're not committing to answering those fundamental questions, then you've pretty well got to gauge that what the decision that they're going to make, which is they've got a foot in one camp and a foot in the other.
Yeah.
The other thing too, I had another thought on my mind. No, it's gone. I'll think about it.
That's big. And so women often we all do this. We're wanting the change, but it's what change are you wanting? Yeah. Like, what specifically are you wanting, and have you stated that to them? Because we have these expectations, and sometimes we don't even, we think these expectations, but we couldn't clearly voice our expectations. So first we need to get clarity within ourselves, but also, have you ever voiced those expectations to them? Do they know your expectations, or are you expecting them to know your expectation? Which is big.
Absolutely. And the other thing, and I do remember what I was going to say,
Awesome.
which is probably a really good point on this, is that often what happens is that and this is in an innate nature of what we do as human beings, is that what we do is we like to plan to have certainty in our future. So we have this relationship, and what we want to do is that we start to dream and envisage what this life will be like, and that has that person included in it. And then what happens is you fall in love with the ideal of what could happen, but actually are not living in the reality of what is actually happening. So people fall in love with the illusion rather than the reality. All right. And the love and the feelings and the intentions that you have is to say, oh, if I keep pushing, and if I keep trying, and if I try another way, and if I do this, and if I do that, then maybe he will hop into my dream. But what I'm now doing is I'm changing all of who I am to get him to commit. Now, who's got control?
You do.
No, they have, if I'm actually going to change. So
if you choose what you're willing to do and you go on that journey, then you're in control of your own. Or did I misinterpret what you said?
Yes, maybe. I don't know. I'm not in your head. So this is the thing that I'm doing. Is what I'm doing is if I'm changing my reaction or changing my behavior to try and get someone to do something for me, and I'm saying, oh, that didn't work, I'll try this. If that didn't work, I'll try this. And then all of a sudden you're trying all of these things. But they have the power of whether it works or whether it doesn't work, whether they are or whether they're not. And the change here is actually saying, well, I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling, no, what's happening is you have a belief system that if you do this, they'll do this, but they're not doing it. And you've set up the rule system. So what I do is I look at, no, this is what I'm going to do. This is the relationship that I'm going to build. This is how I'm going to be in this situation. And I would love for you to come with me. All right. And for me, this is what I would love to do for you. To be a witness to you and to be a witness to your life and to champion your life just as much as I champion my life. But what I'm now doing is I'm saying is that with all of the way I champion myself, I'll give you that as a gift as well. And you can see it in me. So I lead it first, and then this person can see, oh man, if I invest my time over here, I could probably get some really good results. But what it is that if I'm waiting for them to say yes to me and I don't feel enough when they don't say yes, or they don't commit, or they don't answer the questions or anything like that, do I feel lesser? Do I not feel desired? Do I not feel enough? Am I doing this wrong? And what it is that I'm now creating a story that disempowers me because I'm saying I'm not enough.
Yeah.
You need to come from the other way. I am enough, and these are the reasons why. Because I have a great heart. I'm full of love. This is how I love. You know, this is what I can do to love. This is how I can learn to love. All of these things, and I'm just taking love out for a play, right? How I kiss someone, how I hug someone, how I put all of my intentions into the hug of what I want to create.
Yeah.
And the person, and I'll soon know whether that person appreciates it or not.
Mm.
And if they don't, doesn't mean there wasn't power in what I did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I
So
have I want to ask a question on the back of that is when they do get clear on what they want in the relationship and their boundaries, what do you do when you fear their reaction? Whether their reaction may be an emotional response that you really fear, anger, them getting upset and you feeling bad for them, or maybe their response is, you gave an example before, but something like, well, if you're doing that, then clearly you don't love me fully, or a response where they feel they fear the conflict that will come when they do state what they want.
So I might talk a little bit about I've got a tool about love and trust and fear and doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And Kate's heard this before, so I might explain it a little bit. Is in every single second of your life, you're either in love and trust or you're in fear and doubt. Now, love does not exist when there's fear. Can't happen in the same moment. So what it is, I might fear a moment, but then I'll trust myself in being able to handle it. I might doubt what's going on, but I'm going to love anyway. And I choose to be the way that I want to be. So what happens is when someone gets angry, is that in love and trust or is that in fear and doubt?
Fear and doubt.
All right. So if it's in fear and doubt, this is not a loving conversation that's happening. So what I might do is I'll say, so how do I get it over into love and trust? So I might say, I want to sort this out. I want to find a solution. I want to find how we can get some, solid ground so that we can build a great relationship together. And I want to know what's going to be more likely to work, because I'm happy to play. Now, all the words that I used in that conversation there were all love and trust words. And so what I do is when I say, I'm happy to play, in playing, I don't have to get it right or get it wrong. But if someone's saying, no, it's all your fault, right? You made me do this. You're making me angry. And as soon as I hear the word you with an emotion that is a more a fear and doubt emotion, then I know that what's happening is this person's probably going more to wanting to control the situation. And love often doesn't come when it's controlled.
Yes.
Love often comes when there is freedom. And so I know that, okay, if I'm doubting having this conversation, then I know that maybe there's a lot of practice of happening in fear and doubt. And then, but you're wanting a loving relationship. How does that work? It's just like, for me, and this is just me, because I know that I'm wired differently than other people. For me, it doesn't make sense. All right. How do I do all my actions in fear and doubt, but then hoping to get a loving and trusting relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm fearing it, it already tells me that there's something that I get the opportunity to create here, because if this person's not going to create it, I'm going to create it, because responsibility is on love and trust.
Yes.
Now, there's a couple of things here which I think might be really important. In love and trust, you have empowerment. And empowerment is where I feel important and the person opposite me feels important, and we create a, empowered or a powerful situation where we both get honored, we both get cherished, we're both seen as great, we both feel like we're enough. I don't often like saying I'm enough, because it feels like it's not enough. I like to say I'm amazing, I'm great. Why am I? Because I have learned the lessons that have taught me how to stand in my strength, my power, my passion, right? What really makes me tick? What can I have the ability to give? Now, if this conversation is not happening, where I'd say, hey, I would love for us to find a way through to make it, to not just make this work, but for us to have something that we both get to stand and be strong. The opposite of empowerment is disempowerment or powerlessness.
Yeah.
Now, is this conversation about power, where they get to be powerful while they call me powerless, or try and make me feel powerless?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when they'll say, you never listen to me, right? You're always going off this way. When I hear the words always and you never,
yeah,
I know that they're starting to tell me a bullshit story to
yeah,
justify what they're going to say, to disempower me in this situation. Now I'm even going to challenge for me to be disempowered by what they say.
exactly, absolutely.
I don't have to be disempowered by what they say. They're
Totally.
hoping to disempower me by
Yes.
what they say. So
And
when they
back to just on that is the always and the
never,
never, that we have the ability to question that story. Is it a true story that I want to believe? And when we can see that they're hurting, we don't have to buy into the story.
absolutely, you are right on. I love it. Yeah, so it's really figuring out, okay, if it's going to be, and I call it a drama story is where you exaggerate the truth, and there'll be elements of the truth, exaggerate the truth to justify your story in blaming somebody else for the way that you feel. No one makes you feel anything. You choose the feelings that you want by the story that you create. And when I really got a hold of this, and I thought, well, okay, if I'm going to choose the story that I listen to in my own head, why not make up a story that empowers me?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so I remember having a conversation, and I'll give it to you, about playing golf with my husband.
Yeah.
And he was getting frustrated and angry because every time he hit the golf ball, it'd go straight, and then it'd just go, whoa, right over. And he'd be going miles to go and chase the ball. And he was getting more frustrated and more frustrated and more frustrated. And I said to him, your feet are pointing in the wrong direction, which is causing your ball to go this way. And he goes, stop telling me off. He said, you're putting me off my game. Like this. And I thought, oh, wow. In my head, I'm laughing in my head saying, how did he get to that? And I said, you know what? I'm not putting you off your game. You're choosing to be put off by what I say. But what I gave, the information I gave you, has got the ability to fix what is happening. Your choice. And then he got more frustrated because his whole aim was to create dominant power, because he was feeling powerless because his game wasn't working. Now, I didn't take responsibility for his powerlessness. But he wanted to offload it off himself to put it on me. So what I'm saying here is, if you're scared of having a conversation with someone,
yeah,
it's probably because you're going to take responsibility for the way that they feel.
Yeah.
And you don't choose any of that. They choose that with all the stories that they've told themselves, with all their upbringing, with all the rules that they put in their own head of how things should be.
Should be, yeah, plain.
What are the expectations? Because expectations is not love. Love is acceptance as someone comes. Right? When you expect someone to do something, then you're saying, if you don't do this, I'm going to feel this, which is, it's a single solution to a problem that keeps you in a problem.
Yeah.
All right. So Do you need to
in the
probably have
pain.
this conversation? Yes. But if you're thinking that you're going to be the reason why they're angry, no. You are not to blame for the emotions that they choose, because they choose those. So then what I can do is then I can choose my emotions in that moment. So if they're getting angry, do I have to get angry with them? And is that going to get us to love and trust?
Yes.
No. So that's
Not
how
at
you can
all.
use that tool there. That's a little tool that you can use to say, okay, now I'm going to look at a different conversation. So the conversation will be, I'm now going to tell you what I want and invite you, which is,
Yes.
this is what I want. This is what I dream of. This is what I know we can create. This is a future for us that I can see that we've got the ability to build. All right. And I would love you to be on this journey. Please, tell me what your dreams are, your desires are, what fills you up. And then they get to track, and then we see how we actually merge those two together on the same road. But if he wants to go a different road, where he's sometimes on your road, sometimes on his partner, his
Yeah.
wife's road, all of that sort of stuff,
Playing both lanes.
then you get the opportunity to appreciate that you're not going to get all of his time.
Yes.
And do you want that? And then you have to really think about, do I want that? Because at the end of the day, now this sounds a bit clinical, but at the end of the day, he is a vehicle that is there that you have come across, and you say, hey, this is a nice vehicle, I'm going to jump in and enjoy my ride.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say he's the only one,
Yeah.
is that you're saying that there is no opportunity anywhere else to get this. So that creates desperation.
Yeah.
And it's knowing that, hang on a second, I know that I've got the ability to appreciate this moment and build the best of this moment. But if this moment is not going to happen, then I will change my environment and go where I can build, appreciate, create another environment, and people get attracted to that.
Yeah.
So
It is attractive.
are you attracting, or are you repelling? Is this man that you're looking at, wanting to choose you, are they attracting you to them, or are they repelling you? For me, blame and guilt don't serve me. So I choose not to be there. So I get an opportunity to create a different story. So you've got to just figure out what's happening and how it's happening.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
No worries.
Appreciate that. So one question I want to ask, which is a little bit different to this, so different to it's more so our own story and what they're going through. And I spoke to you about this a while ago, and this is about, I want to make sure that I word it properly, but often when we go through a situation, which is obviously the women are experiencing these intense highs and these intense lows, and getting their head around it can often be difficult because it's not a situation that they often expected themselves to get into. And what I notice is a reoccurring pattern is when women go through these experiences, they feel these emotions, these intense, often painful emotions, and then they paint a story around it. And then years down the track, they come into situations and they have learnings and they mature and everything like that. And suddenly they are getting links to the emotions that they felt that they didn't have meaning behind. And so I want to ask you around why we justify different experiences to stay safe when we are experiencing these highs and lows, and why we do this to keep ourselves from the pain that we're going through.
So our body has innate protection mechanism. All right, we have the ability to heal. We have the ability to cope. There's so many stories that you could probably go into where someone has been in the most intense pain, or the most, like a fear and doubt environment where, their life or their emotional health can be jeopardized. So what happens is in those moments, we have an innate ability to protect ourselves. So what we do is when we have adrenaline, so some people say, I'm really scared about this situation because they're having all of these feelings, the heart's starting to beat faster, your breathing's starting to change, you feel tingles in your fingers and toes. That tells me that in that moment that adrenaline has entered your system. Now, the process of adrenaline is it is a protective mechanism to help you in a situation to preserve life.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up with phenomenal power. So what it does is it gets from peripheral vision and you go to single focus. So what happens is in this situation, you're in it and you make a decision and there's no other thought. Make this decision, I'm going to go with it. This is what I hope for to get myself through this. So what happens is you make a choice and you get yourself out of it, because if you've gone down the road, you've survived it, right? So if you're 10 years down the road and then all of a sudden you go, oh man, I can't believe I made that decision. It didn't look after me, it didn't honor me, and you might start using the word, I feel so stupid and I feel dumb for doing this. And what it is it's not appreciating what happened in a moment.
Mm.
Our brain doesn't have the capacity to think of all these things unless we train our brain. So I've been watching right now SAS, which is elite military men who are training famous people to put their body under stress. And what happens is when you continually train yourself, you can think of other things, but you've got to train yourself. But when you're first coming to an experience and you're very young and you don't have a lot of reference points, you'll usually come up with one answer. That answer is the best you can do in the moment that you've got. And if you thought of anything else, I would guarantee you would do it. So what I've always done is I've always honored the decisions that I made in the moment that I made them, because it was doing the best that I could with what I had. And it is recognizing that the adrenaline is taking that single focus, right? And it's just getting me through the moment. And what often happens is that if I cut my skin like quite deeply, I won't feel the pain because my body has got a coping mechanism not to feel the pain, to get me out of the danger and get me to safety. So what often happens is if you've had an experience where it's been, what you would call a threat to you, you may not experience the pain of what's happening. You do the best you can, but then the pain comes later because you got the time to think.
Yeah.
And the time to think can say, hey, and this is where I have a lot of grace, understanding, mercy for the decisions I make, is that I recognize, okay, I made this decision and I survived, but next time I could maybe make a better decision. What could I learn out of this? So for me, I have experienced sexual abuse, and I recognize what I did in my life is I actually created a survival mechanism to get me there, but that didn't serve me in a relationship.
Yes.
So what I did was I went back to it and figured out, what did I really like what I did there, right? And I said, I really like the way that I coped, how I got out of the situation, how I dismissed the pain. And then as I got older, I thought, if I keep dismissing pain, then I might actually be dismissing joy. So then I can say, well, okay, if I was to turn on what I wanted, what would I do? And now I recognize that this strategy actually led me to coping, but not led me to thriving. So now I get to experience that I could maybe do this or this or this or this or this. And I don't look at getting it wrong. I look at playing with it. It's like a kid. A kid plays in a puddle.
Yeah.
Right? And when they play in a puddle, they're just laughing and being joyous and, experiencing the textures and the smell, and they probably taste it. And what they're doing is they're exploring everything that this puddle's got to offer. But then what happens is that an adult sometimes comes along and says, oh my God, you've ruined your clothes. How stupid are you? And all that. So you've got this really good intention and it works out in one area, but someone tells you it's not right.
Yes.
And so what we do is we recognize it's what we have to do that makes other people accept us rather than actually just enjoying moments. And how many times are we not building happiness because other people expect us to do? And maybe that's why, you know, this guy is, you know, in this relationship, has got his foot in both camps. All right, because he's trying to find happiness, but he's trying to do it rather than be it, which is a very different. So if I have more of an understanding about who I am, if I figure out with what I know now by what I did, how can I step into being even more powerful as I move forward rather than giving my power away and hoping someone loves me. I know that I'm loved because of who I am and what I've got the ability to do, because I'm going to play with what I can do and figure out my way through and discover that the world is not flat anymore.
Yes.
The world is round, because it takes courage to hop on a ship and sail to the ends of the earth to discover that the world was always round when everybody else said it was flat.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So question those stories. Which place are you operating from? Fear and doubt, or love and trust? Is it?
Yes,
Trust?
love and trust. And does this empower me,
Yeah.
or does it give my power away? Not does it take my
Yeah.
power away. Do I give my power away because it's mine? My power is mine.
Yes.
I am the ruler of my kingdom. All right. And I get to set the rules, and people get to feel safe, loved, appreciated in my kingdom because of the rules that I set. But if I'm not appreciated in your kingdom and where you have the rules, then I think it's time to move.
It's not aligned. Yeah.
I think it's time to move, because are you likely to find happiness in a rulership where people are saying you're not?
Yeah.
You're
Exactly.
not enough. So yes, and alignment is huge. You got to figure out who you are and just turn it up and get all your actions to keep going you there. If this guy is willing to do it, fantastic. If he's not willing to do it, fantastic.
Exactly.
You get to pick where you go.
Yes.
And so, you know, do I feel guilty for what I've done? Only time I feel guilty is if, no, I've chucked guilty out. Yeah. Someone said to me once, said, if I'm going to live on number 1, 2, 3, fuck me street, then I'm not going to have a very happy place to live.
Yeah.
So, change addresses.
Best.
Change addresses. All right.
Sunshine, rainbows and unicorn street.
But see, what is it about rainbows that's exciting? It's because it's got all the colors of life in it.
Yeah.
And all the colors of life have the flowers that I get to smell, because the rainbows needs that there is rain.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the rain is the water that feeds the soul of the earth. Then everything has the ability to grow. And I appreciate roses, and I appreciate, you know, jasmine, and I appreciate, you know, all sorts of different flowers. I don't have to be one flower.
Yeah.
Because someone said I have to be that way for me to be loved. No, you can smell mine. You know, people like different perfumes. So
Absolutely. This has been gold. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want people just now to be opened, because as soon as you feel closed to me is where I'm actually going to build a wall. And if I'm closed, then nothing gets in, nothing gets out. And that's where I can be. I likened it, when I was going through it, to being locked in behind a wall. I built a wall and it's ended up being a prison. No light in, no light out. All right. And what happens is I'm always in darkness. All right. If I build the wall high enough. So what I've got to do is I've got to figure out not how do I get someone to break down my walls? How do I take the rocks off? Because I was the one who laid the rocks.
Yes.
I was the one who laid the rocks, not anybody else. I just used what they said to build the wall of protection. So if I built it, then I can pull it down. I can build a new foundation. I can build a phenomenal house, right? And that phenomenal house, if I've got the strength in the foundation, everything will stand in a storm. Right?
Absolutely. Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. That was absolutely outstanding. I appreciate connecting with you always.
Yeah. Just remember, create understanding, create every filter that comes, that you filter information through, just say, how do I create understanding of how this can serve me? How do I learn? How does this empower me? Does it give me love and trust? Am I open? And does this give me freedom? And if someone is saying you are and blaming, is blaming allowing you to feel free? Then don't take it on. That's just their story. And see how it's just their story.
It's just a story. It's just a narrative.
All right. Because one other thing which might be a quick tool, and I've shared this with you before. If I'm looking for what is wrong and I put it in my hand over here, and I'm looking for what is right and I put it in my hand over here, when I'm looking for
and for the
wrong,
listeners right now, this will be on YouTube, but for the listeners right now, if you've got a hand out to the left of you and a hand out to the right, like you're holding a red and a green apple, continue.
Yeah. Thank you. And you're looking at what's wrong, your head is in completely the opposite direction to what is right.
Yes.
Right? So what I've got to do is I can look at what's wrong, but if I don't look at everything that's wrong, but I also look at what's right, I'm pulling it around to the front of me and then saying, what can I learn from what I believe is, and it's only wrong for me.
Yeah.
It could
Absolutely.
be right for somebody else.
Yeah.
But I have equal opportunity to what is right, and when I find what is right, what emotions is it going to give me? And that's the thing that I want. Am I going to be joyous? And I have had the most joyous moments in the most adverse situations that most people see adversity in. And I have just been everything that I am. And people have said to me, Fiona, you have been so amazing through this storm. And I just feel like I have so much strength, so much groundedness that I can figure out that I can work my way through this. Right? And I just know that I am enough anytime you're around. And the reason why is I am teaching them to always be enough, because I'm always enough. I cannot give them what I do not have. So if you want love in your life, love here first, which is me.
Yes.
Love me first. Full tilt. Never diminish, never dismiss me. Like I don't have that, like I don't have that conversation, that like I never say, oh, you stupid Fiona. Okay, all right, that didn't get me to where I wanted to go.
Exactly.
All right, I could say I'm stupid, or that didn't get me to where I wanted to go, but I definitely know my destination. So figure out what you want in this relationship. And actually I'm going to change that. Figure out what you want in a relationship and see whether this is a match.
Yes.
Because if I see whether you want this relationship, now you're going to be a servant to the relationship and you're going to be looking at what can I do to make it happen here? What if it's not meant to be? Maybe this person is not ready yet, but you want them to be ready but you're not appreciating, well, okay, I'll set you free. You figure it out. I'll go along my life because I know that my traits are appealing, are attracting. And now I get to champion me. People like to walk with a champion. Have a look at, like there's a lot of famous people in the world. Have a look at how many people are following them because they believe that what they have is success.
Yes.
But don't think that money is success. Owning me is success. Being me is success. So just a little something.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on here.
You're absolutely welcome.
It has been a pleasure. I
Yes.
think I think we're going to have some raving fans on here with that episode. So I appreciate it.
I'm championing. High five myself.
Yeah, so some
Dance
really
party.
good drops of wisdom there. So thank you.
Oh, look, and one last thing is that I just share whatever's on my heart in the moment. Whatever comes out is whatever comes out. Some of it may be right, some of it may not be right, but I just trust that what I say is going to serve someone. I will have someone who will probably, who could do the opposite of that. But that's what I want people to do with their life. Just put it out there and just believe in the innate nature that it has brilliance in it. And what you'll do is look for the gold in it, not look for where you got it wrong.
Absolutely.
All right. And if you do the same thing, then what happens is the more you speak it, the more you'll live it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Where can we connect with you?
I didn't even think about that. Well, touch base with Kate. She can do it.
Yes.
Maybe what you can do, Kate, is if you put something down, is just put a link in a few of my links to my website.
Yeah.
Give me a call about anything at any
Yeah.
point, anytime, anyone. I'm open. If you've come from Kate's podcast or YouTube, I will give you half an hour for free. Have a chat. Right. And then after that, I will give you a 10% discount, because Kate is an amazing young woman who has got a wealth of experience, a huge heart, and I will always champion you with what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll put your links below, and also you can always contact myself to get in contact with Fiona. So thank you.
Excellent.
Beautiful. Awesome. And if you're in Australia and in Melbourne, you do self-defense courses as well for
Yes.
women.
Oh, I can do them on Zoom.
Oh,
We can
okay.
do it.
Do it quickly. Just brush on. Do you have a self-defense website?
Yeah, my my
I'll put the
website.
links down
Yeah,
below.
put it all in there. But we can do anything on Zoom these days.
Yeah, that's so
All
true.
you have to do is just have a partner that you can demolish.
Yes. And honestly, there's a lot of teachings in there. So if that has interested you, then go check out the video.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And it's really important to know that if you can physically look after yourself if all ends fails, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I'll teach you how to break their legs, knock them out.
It builds safety, and that is.
But it's standing in your physical strength allows you to emotionally and emotionally stand strong and speak with authority, because you know that if someone's going to challenge it, you've got something else to back you up.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I love.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on here.
Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you guys for listening. Until now, take care. Bye for now.